During his first term in office, Donald Trump developed what some commentators called a bromance with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. There was an effusive bond between the two leaders, perhaps best demonstrated by their mega rallies with one another in each of their respective countries. Trump hosted Modi in Texas at the Howdy Modi event in 2019, and Modi hosted Trump in Gujarat at the Namaste Trump event in 2020. But since Trump's return to office, Modi's attempts to rekindle the bromance has not been as successful as he would have hoped, with tensions over trade, immigration, and Trump's budding relationship with Pakistan causing issues. So in this video, we're going to explain why Trump and Modi aren't on such good terms anymore, and why that spells trouble for Modi back home. Who's the worst politician right now? Here are thoughts and argue with us on our podcast, The World Leader Leaderboard. Find it over on the TLDR Podcast YouTube channel or in your favourite podcast app. US-India ties have fluctuated over the years, but generally speaking, the story of the past 2 decades has largely been one of strengthening ties under successive presidents, who have viewed India as a potential regional bulwark against China. For example, Obama declared India a major defence partner in 2016. Trump revived the Quad security grouping, which Biden then elevated to an annual summit. While Biden did considerably boost the US-India strategic partnership, there were strains on the relationship, including over India's continued ties with Russia post-Ukraine invasion, and alleged Indian plots to assassinate Sikh separatists in the US and Canada. So, for Modi, Trump's return provided an opportunity to reset ties by rekindling their previous bromance, which was a particularly important goal as Modi had valid reasons to be slightly nervous, particularly because of trade. In 2024, the United States ran a goods trade deficit with India of $45.7 billion, meaning that the US buys considerably more goods from India than India buys from the US, something that Trump is notoriously not a fan of. This, coupled with the fact that India has a high average tariff on goods imports of around 14%, meant India always risked drawing Trump's ire for its trade practices, with the US president branding India a very big abuser. So, hoping to placate Trump and avoid negative trade-related actions, Modi, shortly before his visit to the White House in February, announced some anticipatory tariff cuts. These were followed up by some further measures at the meeting, in which Modi pledged to buy more American oil, gas and military equipment and fight illegal immigration. The two sides agreed to start negotiations on a trade deal, which are still ongoing, and the stakes are evidently high for India, for whom the US is its largest trading partner. Not only do Indian exports to the US face a prospective 26% tariff announced by Trump on so-called Liberation Day, but Trump has also threatened to impose an additional 10% tariff on countries aligned with the BRICS grouping, of which India is a member, accusing the group of pursuing anti-American policies. And while India may have made more progress in trade negotiations than other countries, reports now suggest that hopes of striking an interim deal before Trump's August 1st deadline have faded, with Reuters writing that talks are stalled as India refuses to open its politically sensitive agriculture and dairy sectors, while the US resists India's demands for relief from higher tariffs on steel, aluminium and autos. Trump's approach to immigration also presents Modi with a challenge. Cooperation on immigration enforcement is necessary to keep Trump on side, but when the first flight of deportees arrived in India in early February, it sparked outrage as the Indians on the US military plane were handcuffed and shackled. But it's another area that's perhaps the most concerning for India and which has shaken Trump-Modi ties, and that's Trump's seemingly budding relationship with India's longtime foe, Pakistan. In case you don't remember, in early May, India and Pakistan fought a short-lived but more intense than usual armed clash, after India accused Pakistan of backing terrorists that carried out a deadly attack in Indian-administered Kashmir a few weeks prior. A ceasefire ended things after 4 days, but both sides effectively claimed victory, and have pushed competing narratives about what happened. Trump has repeatedly framed the ceasefire as a US-mediated one, and he says that his administration wielded trade negotiations as leverage to end the fighting. Unsurprisingly, to boost his self-professed peacemaker status, at a time when it's proving unfounded elsewhere, Trump has publicly boasted several times of his role in securing the ceasefire, something backed up by Pakistan, but which is much to the frustration of the Indian government, which denies that the ceasefire was mediated by the US or any third party, instead insisting that it was bilaterally agreed between India and Pakistan. Now, you might not think that this should be a big deal for India, but it is. For starters, Trump praised both countries' leaders as powerful, strong and smart, and his commentary on the issue was seen by India as equating the two sides and glossing over Pakistan's record on terrorism. And Trump's offer to mediate the wider Kashmir dispute was also problematic for India, which has always flatly rejected any outside involvement in the dispute, something that Modi has since reiterated. Trump has also seemingly endorsed Pakistan's claim that it shot down some 5 Indian fighter jets during the conflict, something that India has denied. All of this is difficult for Modi, as it risks creating a perception that India ended the brief conflict under the direction and pressure of the United States. The Indian opposition has seized upon this, demanding clarity on the downing of jets and contrasting Modi's actions with those of former Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, who they say defied US pressure during the 1971 war against Pakistan. All the while, Pakistan is enjoying a real warming of ties with the US, a marked turnaround from when the relationship had basically languished during Trump's first term, when he said Pakistan had given the US nothing but lies and deceit and was a safe haven to terrorists, as well as during Biden's presidency, when Biden called Pakistan maybe one of the most dangerous nations in the world. Perhaps the biggest winner from this turnaround is Munir, the Pakistani military chief who's considered the country's most powerful man, and who saw his and the army's reputation receive a much-needed boost after the brief conflict with India. In June, Munir was hosted by Trump for lunch, which, according to Reuters, was the first time that a US president had hosted the head of Pakistan's army at the White House, unaccompanied by senior Pakistani civilian officials. Pakistan is evidently trying to capitalise on this apparent reset, most notably with the Pakistani government nominating Donald Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. So this leaves Modi and India in a tricky spot, unable to rely on the past bromance he enjoyed with Trump, but also unsure if the shifting diplomatic sands are a result of actual institutional policy or just Trump's ever-evolving personal position. While this is certainly not the end of the multifaceted US-India partnership, a byproduct of the uncertainty in relations with Trump's America is that India is seemingly trying to hedge against it by cautiously warming relations with China. As you may know already, here at TLDR we're committed to learning about the world around us and helping you do the exact same. Luckily for all of us, our sponsor this week, Brilliant, helps with just that. Brilliant helps you become a better thinker and problem solver, with thousands of visual, interactive lessons in maths, science, programming, data analysis, and AI. Not only does Brilliant offer a perfect mix of engaging problems and competitive features, it also keeps you motivated with daily encouragement, and their app makes it easy to learn wherever you are. Instead of mindless scrolling, with those extra pockets of time you find in the day, you can give your mind a workout with Brilliant's growing collection of programming courses. From learning Python to developing an intuition for computer logic, you'll get hands-on experience with real programs and learn to think like a programmer, building your problem-solving skills to thrive in the evolving world of programming. Plus, all content on Brilliant is crafted by an award-winning team of teachers, researchers and professionals from Stanford, MIT, Caltech, Microsoft, Google and more. To start your learning journey and try Brilliant for free, visit brilliant.org/TLDR. Scan the QR code on your screen, or you can click the link in the description. By doing so, you'll also get 20% off an annual premium subscription, and they'll know that you came from us, which really helps us out.